there's been an interesting development. India's jewelry exports to the UAE have witnessed a significant bump, and many are crediting this new development to the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Don't worry, the name's complicated, but the premise is fairly straightforward. The main objective is to improve trade engagements between India, the UAE and the wider Gulf Cooperation Council region. And while the agreement was only implemented in May 2022, the benefits have become obvious within just a few months. We've witnessed a 10% jump in gems and jewelry exports to the UAE in the first quarter of FY23 when compared to the same period last year. After SEPA implementation, exports witnessed a 17% leap. Now you might look at this and ask, what's so special about SEPA, and does it deserve the hype? Well, it's complicated. But before we get there, let's look at what SEPA actually means. A SEPA, as we already noted, is an economic partnership between two countries. In many ways, it's a lot like a free trade agreement. Two countries sit down, they decide to cut down trade barriers and tariffs. They work on improving trade engagements, and they put in place rules to enable importers and exporters in both countries to work with each other. SEPA does these things too. The only difference is that an FTA traditionally focuses on trade and goods, but a SEPA also extends to engagements in the services sectors, foreign investments, disputes, and even regulatory matters. And considering our close engagement with the UAE, we signed the agreement back in February to build on our relationship with the country. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of chatter since then. But last week, we got a hint of the hidden potential here when Malabar Gold and Diamonds said they'd imported 25 kilograms of gold under SEPA. They said this was possible because of the tax concessions. What tax concessions? When importers in India ship gold coins and bars from the UAE, they'd have to pay the applicable duties. But under SEPA, they get a 1% rebate, a concession. Similarly, importers in the UAE were earlier expected to pay a 5% duty on gold jewelry. Now, they have to pay nothing. And while this may look insignificant at first sight, there's a lot happening here. India is one of the largest importers of gold. Last year we spent a whopping $46 billion on importing 842 tons of gold. And the UAE is the second largest gold trading partner. So if we can import some gold at a slightly discounted price, it will reduce our import bill considerably. Meanwhile, if we can export gold without having to pay the 5% duty, Indian jewelry products become more appealing to consumers in the UAE. This could also help us redistribute our products to UAE's neighbors also. We could get better access to markets in North Africa, West and Central Asia, and even Europe. Perhaps now it's obvious why jewelry exports to the UAE have been climbing. At this pace, we could easily achieve the gems and jewelry export target of $45.7 billion for the year. But gold and gems aren't the only things we're targeting here. The concessions will also apply to textiles, leather, footwear, sports goods, plastics, furniture, agricultural, wood products, engineering products, medical devices, and automobiles. And there's the services sector too. Take, for instance, digital trade. This agreement will allow electronic transactions to go through without a hitch unless there's something unlawful happening. All in all, trade and services could breach the $15 billion mark in 5 years. But what if other countries jump on this bandwagon and take us for a ride? What if they ship cheap goods to the UAE and then find ways of pushing their goods to India? Won't this hurt manufacturers domestically? Well, yes it would. But these concessions only apply to goods and services that originate in the UAE, or at least in cases where the UAE has a meaningful contribution. So there's some cushion to protect India against indiscriminate dumping. The only question is, can we expect a significant boost in other sectors just like we're currently witnessing with gold and gems? Well, we will have to wait and see. Until then, don't forget to share this article on WhatsApp, LinkedIn and Twitter. Ditto Insights. Does health insurance cover mental illnesses? According to a national survey, roughly 15% of Indian adults need treatment for one or more mental health illnesses. And now, IRDAI has directed all insurers to provide coverage for mental health issues under their health policies. But there are a few caveats. While insurers are now expected to cover acute depression, anxiety and psychotic disorders, dementia, schizophrenia, etc., they only do so if you are hospitalized in a medical facility. In most cases, therapy and counseling isn't covered. If an insurance company does offer outpatient consultation coverage, you have to see if it's applicable to mental health illnesses. That's the only way you can cover your therapy costs using your health insurance policy. Also, health insurance companies don't cover mental retardation. Additionally, if you're dealing with mental health issues induced by substance abuse, then tough luck. Insurance companies won't cover this. Finally, you also have to deal with waiting periods, just like any other illness. These can last 3 to 4 years.